Welcome back everyone, Dirch here, and from the title of this video you might be a little confused of why am I talking about critting versus slagging. Throughout all the debates about UVHM and people saying it's slag dependent and you have to slag and slag, you never hear people, or rarely hear people talk about critting. And critical hits can add a lot more damage than slag can, but you don't ever hear people talking about it. So I'm talking about it because that's what I do. I talk about things I don't hear talked about. Now, when you slag an enemy in UVHM, you get ×3 damage. Now, when you crit, it's ×2 damage. But if you crit with a gun that's got any kind of critical hit boost beyond a typical ×2, you do more. So the Becca, for example, I'm going to, I'll shoot him in the head here. 2-7. Should have waited till Cloud Kill went away. 1-9. So a crit on an unslagged enemy does more than a body shot on a slagged enemy. Now, the obvious answer is do both, and then you get your most damage. I'm not arguing that. What I want to argue is people need to talk more about critting and less just about slag. And there are some things that go with that. Now, part of that is ADS, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But yes, critting takes more skill, but it can add so much more damage because your ×2 is your starter, and then you have your type A. So all standard snipers, you have another 100%. So that's another ×2. So that's your base gun damage ×2. Pistols are just ×1, but if you have a JAKOBS pistol, you have a .25 type C modifier. And if you have any critical hit boost in your skill tree, class mod, anything like that, it can be much bigger. So that's the thing, is teaching people to crit and working on always aiming for crits. And even in my videos, I'll hear some of you guys say on some videos I was doing, oh, that's more of a body shotgun. The only time it's a body shotgun if there's no pellet to crit with. Other than that, you should be going for crits. There's a few exceptions, like maybe the sword explosion because it's arc and AoE, but there's very, very few guns you should not be trying to crit with. Now, one of the problems with that is people don't really seem to ADS much outside of snipers. And maybe you guys watching are a little more highly educated or better Borderlands players, and you guys do ADS more. But, since I've kind of came back from my hiatus and stuff, and, whenever I'm being active in this stuff, I'm watching, I don't want to say my competition, but the community. I'm watching other YouTubers play. I'm kind of going around Twitch, watching people play, maybe lurking, just going to some channels saying hi. And I'm watching people play the game. And so many people, and not only like newbies that are just streaming it for the first time, but like experienced, like well-respected players or like big YouTubers, I'm not going to name names, so don't ask, are running around just hip-shotting everything unless they're sniping. If they're not sniping, they're just hip-firing. And I want to talk about that, but first show that. So let's find some walls here. Alright, so I'm going to start with my infinity, because this is one of the biggest ones where I see people. It's like, oh, I got an infinity, I'm just going to hold down to the trigger. But you should still ADS even with the infinity. Now, before I even shoot a wall, I'm going to repeat something that the wise man Chuck 80 once said when discussing shotguns. Accuracy equals damage. This applies to everything, not just shotguns. The more accurate, the more pellets you land, the more you can crit, the more damage you do. Now, let's shoot this wall, hip firing. and you see the spread. Now, on a normal person, it's way bigger than their head. Now, let's ADS. That's a much tighter group. And you're going to land a lot more of the pellets on the head. Are some still going to go out of there? Yeah. But your grouping is a hell of a lot better if you can ADS. Now, do you need to go around like this and shoot the infinity? No. You run around, you see an enemy, ADS, shoot him in the head, back off. Because you're only going to need a few shots to kill most enemies. You know, there's the head, ADS, and shoot him in the head. Alright, so actually I'll go close range. So here's a close range shot. Alright, well the second one was way up there. So you can see one shot, or ADS, hip fire. ADS, hip fire. I got my trigger pull real sensitive on my Steam controller, so you can see the difference of these groupings. You're going to land more pellets if you ADS with a shotgun. The second shot always jumps a little bit with JAKOBS shotguns, but you can see that if you ADS, you hit pretty consistently. When you hip fire, you're landing a lot less of those pellets into that crit spot, and you're doing a lot less damage. So if you want to do more damage, aim down sight. Let's find another good wall here. Similarly with like the Becca you should pretty much treat as a sniper. So I'll do like a 5-round burst. Now I'll hit fire. What do you want? That mess or this nice tight group? I think that should be pretty obvious. Let's go with the Hellfire here for an SMG. No decals there. Alright, I'll go grab this wall here. Is the Hellfire for some reason not leaving decals? It should. Yeah, for some reason the Hellfire is not leaving decals. So let's just watch the animation here. You can probably tell. I think that's fairly obvious. You want to aim down sight with that SMG. Let's grab some other guns here. Now there are some exceptions to the rule, like everything. And some of those would be things... Actually, I got backpack space. I'm not going to throw them all on the ground. Hyperion guns. These are some of the exceptions, especially the bitch. So that's a hip fire, and once you get into your accuracy, which it took about 2 shots, it's incredibly tight. Now, the nice thing about aiming down sight with Hyperion, you start off more accurate, you don't lose as many initial shots. I'm going to try to find something close up. So the Ravager. Kind of bad, either way. So this might be one of those exceptions. You're not going to land a lot of crits with this gun unless you're super up close. And even at that, you're not noticing a difference. So, not worried about it with that one. The Butcher, let's find a good spot here. So, hip fire. Let it go all the way out. And ADS. You can see the ADS is much better. I'll do it from a full clip ADSing here. So I'm all the way out. A little bit better, but not a ton. You start off with less of a bounce when you ADS. So this is another one, which is Hyperion, so it's closer to be able to hit fire more often. The Maggie, that's all over the fucking place. That's a nice tight group. That equals a shitload more damage than that. Even going off just body shots, I'm going to do a shitload more damage there because I'm going to land all on the body. I'm not even hitting all those pellets on the body. Also, that's a reason not to get the double prefix on the Maggie. The kitten here. So when you shoot it, it's supposed to do a smiley face, but because you're hip firing, the spread is so wide you can't see the smiley face. There you can. So once again, aiming down sight is a massive advantage in this game, and I see few people do it outside of sniping, and I don't get what the reasoning is for that. Like, people just think, oh, if I'm not sniping, I don't need to crit. You should be trying to crit with pretty much everything other than Torg guns, well, like Torg high pellet shotguns, maybe the Herald, because you're not going to land a lot with that, sword explosion, guns without, but very few. In general, if it's got a bullet, you want to crit with that bullet. And you will kill things way faster. In fact, you guys watch a lot of my videos. I kill a fair amount of enemies without Slag, and I'm playing Maya the Slag Queen. So, you don't need Slag on everything if you are critting all the time. If you are just going for body shots, yeah, things are going to feel like just bullet sponges. But if you crit, things are not nearly as bullet spongy because your damage is so much higher. You know, you're cutting your damage in less than half by not critting all the time, or not even trying to a lot of the times. And when you combine crit and Slag, I mean, you guys, again, you see me play. Usually shit's dying in a few shots. And yeah, I'm using high-end weaponry like the Becca and the Pimpernel, but the Pimpernel is a fucking mission reward. But, I mean, you saw me with the Patriot, and just, you know, all my videos you've been seeing, I use a lot of different guns. You know, Gatling guns, Dahl mini guns, Bandit SMG, just Bandit purple SMGs, and shotguns, and whatever. Typically, enemies die in a couple of shots to the head if they're slagged. If they're not slagged, sometimes these guns can still... I mean, I've one-shot non-slagged enemies on crit. So, you know, slag and crit, but I just wanted to kind of bring this to the community's attention that you should ADS even when you're not sniping. Treat everything like a sniper, because accuracy equals damage. Like, remember that. That's Chuck's, you know, infamous saying, and he mainly uses it when talking about shotguns, but it applies to all guns. It's not just snipers, it's not just shotguns. Whenever you are shooting, you want to try to ADS as much as you can. Now, there are some really good players out there that will just play super up close and aggressive, and, you know, in the enemy's faces, landing crits with hip firing. In those, like, sorry, I'm calling out Bew, but not in a bad way. Bew does that. You know, he did his E-Tech Sniper community patch video, and the Torrent, and the Pitchfork. And with all of those, he was just kind of like hip firing all those. But Bew's really good, and Bew's got the skill to kind of strafe around and dodge bullets and play up close and live, where most of us do not have that skill set. Like, he is a very, very good gamer. There's a reason why he's all over the time trial boards and shit like that, because he's so fucking good. The average player isn't that good and can't afford to play that, like, sloppy and not sloppy, but if they play that aggressive, they're just going to die. They're not going to be able to kill things fast enough, and they're not going to be able to maintain hip fire crits at that close range and move and duck and avoid getting hit. The average player is just going to die really fucking fast. So what you need to do is kind of how you guys notice I play. You know, I give myself a gap between me and the enemies. I make sure I keep the enemies on one side of me. I use crowd control, and I fight at a safe distance. And doing that and critting makes the game pretty easy. Just going for body shots and rushing in makes you die really fast. So I know this seems super obvious of a video topic, but I just see so many people not doing it that I felt like I should talk about it. It's super odd to kind of go down to the 101s like this on my channel, but you know, it's helpful to a lot of people and a lot of experienced players. So just in your head, accuracy equals damage. Non-accuracy means bullet sponges. And I do like to dispel myths of bad Borderlands information. And everything's a bullet sponge in UVHM is a myth. Because if you use the game's mechanics, and if you crit and slag, everything is not a bullet sponge. If you just hit body shots all day long, things are going to be spongy. So, once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this wasn't kind of below you or underneath you for some of my more advanced viewers, but it's just a topic that's been nagging at me lately, and I felt like I needed to get it off my chest. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate it, and I will see you all later. Bye.